So why, oh why, do we end up in these addictions that destroy our lives? Well, it's actually very simple.
Unfiltered with Matt Farnsworth.
I'm going to give you an example of what happened to me and why I became an addict. There's a storyline that we have, all of us. Mine started in 6th grade. I made the basketball team. The coach was my science teacher. I got injured. I was very proud, by the way, to make the basketball team, but I got injured. And he tried to wrap my thigh for me one day in the locker room, and he ran his hands up my thighs. He was trying to molest me. I took off. It freaked me out, and I told my parents. Well, my parents called him and told him, if you ever do that again, we're going to kill him. Well, this didn't go over so well. The school swept it under the rug, as they did back in the day. I mean, that was probably 1987, 88, and things were different. They didn't care. And he cut me from the basketball team, and he failed me in science. In fact, I had to sit in his science class the rest of the year with him staring at me, like tilting his glasses down, looking at me, and just shaking his head. Even though I did all the work, I failed. And so because I failed, I rebelled. I got very, very resentful of the system, of the any kind of leadership, anyone above me. And that rebellion turned me to a different group of friends because I could no longer hang out with the guys on the basketball team. When you're a kid and you get cut from something like that, all the guys look at you like, well, you're not really worthy anymore. I fell into addiction. I fell in with a group of friends who loved to drink, who liked to smoke. And that's when it all began. The booze immediately numbed the pain I was going through. I was frustrated. I was resentful. And it took care of that. And so many of us fall into this trap, but we stay in it. God knows I stayed in it till I was almost 37 years old. 37. That's like 28 years of addiction. Nobody said this life is going to be easy. There are people out there that are predators. They are going to continue to hunt, and you have to be on the lookout. But you also have to recognize that when you go through something like this, it doesn't have to be the narrative that you follow the rest of your life. Throughout those 20-some years, I got into big trouble because of alcohol. I moved a lot after that. Thankfully, I was grateful to be away from this guy. But at the same time, I could not stop drinking. And it went from me feeling like I did it to numb the pain of this guy to a dependency. I needed this now. I aligned myself with the alcohol as a best friend. It got me through whatever little pain or tribulation I was going through. So now every single time I had some kind of pain or problem, I turned to that. And what that did was just create even more problems in my life. And that's the thing about this cycle that we get into. We perform this analysis of our lives with this brain that has been affected by addiction. And that brain is not the same brain that is going to get you out of the addiction. See, I was too prideful to reach out and say, hey, here's what happened to me, to a professional, and ask for the help that I needed. I needed to hit a bottom, and that's what happens with addicts. Unfortunately, because we are so resentful and also prideful, we don't like to reach out and say, I've got a problem, because admitting it means that we have to stop it, and we don't want to stop it because we totally align ourselves with whatever will get us the next drink. The pornography's out there, the alcohol's out there, the gambling, whatever it may be that you're addicted to. There are many things that you can be addicted to. And it never stops, usually until we hit a bottom, until your wife catches you watching porn, or your girlfriend, or you get into an accident and a DUI, which I did. Big DUI. I flipped a car 6 times. I broke my neck, my wingtip vertebrae. I died for 3 minutes. And even then, after that, I wanted alcohol. That's how strong the addiction gets, because once you've gotten to that stage, you got this monster inside of you. Something has happened that you haven't dealt with. It's unresolved trauma. And that's why we have to have outside help. And that's why so many addicts oftentimes hit a bottom when they're trying to get clean and sober or change their life's direction. I was never going to have success until I looked at my life with a group of other people in recovery that were going through something like me with a professional counselor who had seen this problem 2,000 different times and was able to relate to me, give me the breathing room I needed when I needed it, give me the advice I needed when I needed it, and really work on me in a personalized manner. That is what changed me. But I wasn't malleable. I wasn't available to do that until I was at my lowest point, which is why I often claim that rock bottom isn't the end. It is just the launch pad. Because what can go wrong? Like when you hit a bottom, what's worse? That's why I tell so many family members that are dealing with addicts, if you keep enabling them, you keep giving them the money they need, they will tell you anything to get the money and go and use drugs. And when you give that, you stop them from actually reaching that bottom. And that bottom is the place where recovery really begins. And gosh, it's painful for people that love the addict. When you love someone and you really want to see them flourish and you know what they're capable of, it can be very difficult to watch them flounder and you want to help. And it's just the wrong thing to do. And everything in you fights that because you don't want to see them suffer. But you have to. That's part of the deal with recovery. You've got to allow them the opportunity to seek help. And so for me, like when I went through recovery, I wouldn't seek help until it was absolutely necessary. I was looking at prison time or recovery, and I chose recovery because I sure enough didn't want to go to jail. I was a monster. And the guy literally said, you have a monster inside of you right now, and it's been raging. You let it go crazy. You've never dealt with it. We got to take it out. We got to take a look at it, see what that is. Really analyze why you feel this way. Like, why do you need to be off the rails the way that you are? Why do you want to damage yourself? Why do you not have any self-love? And then we need to shrink that monster back down, lock it in a cage, and put it away. Now, it's always going to be there. Like that's always going to be a part of me, that addiction. It's never going to go away until they're shoveling dirt in my face. Sure, it gets better. People go through recovery. Man, they heal. You get a new identity. You understand who you are. When I first entered recovery, I didn't know who I was. I was totally lost. If you had asked me the question, what do you believe in? When I first entered recovery, I wouldn't have been able to tell you because I had no belief, not in myself, in my family, in my ability to perform, in my ability to be a man who could provide, be a leader. None of that existed at all. You can't have success if you can't identify your goals and what you want. This enemy that we have, it isolates us and it tempts us and then it shames us. I felt so much shame for what I had done. And the shame would drive me right back to the booze. And then the cycle would repeat itself. So if you ever want to break that cycle, you're going to have to realize, okay, this is the end of the line. This road that I'm on, it's going nowhere. It has an expiration date. And the cycle has a payment that's going to have to be made. At some point, if you stay in that cycle long enough, there's an invoice that comes due and there's no avoiding it. You either become locked up because you're uncontrollable and you do something stupid, and then you no longer have freedom, or you lose your life entirely. Like, there's nothing you can say that will change that truth. The truth is what addicts avoid. And when you sit down with a group of people who have a like mind, who believe that they can help you, and you have others that are peers that have gone through what you've gone through, you begin to hear their story. And when you tell your story, when you get that off of your chest, you begin to heal. Every time you share that painful story, the pain diminishes. And what's cool about that is that your expectation begins to diminish as well. A lot of us out there, if you're an addict and you're dealing with, this addiction that's running rampant in your life right now, you typically have expectations that are never met, and it disappoints you. And when you get disappointed, you drink, or you gamble, or you watch pornography. It's all the same root. If you're out there listening and you want to really fight this thing that you're going through right now, and you want to become the leader that you can be, which, by the way, once I got sober, everything changed. That's when I began to do bodybuilding. That's when I started to, really train and care for myself and my being and my body. and my physique. And it made a huge difference in my life. When you get into that gym and you fight through the pain and the struggle and you build muscle and you take the time to do that and you put in the effort and you eat well and you sleep, you change. The mind follows the body. I would walk 20 miles a day in recovery. 20 miles a day. I had no car. I'd wrecked my car. I had no phone. I would literally look at a map, wake up in the morning, open up my map of Santa Ana, California, and I would figure out where the nearest AA meeting was from a pamphlet that I had, and I would map out my route in the morning, and I would walk. I had to spend the time solely focused on getting over what was going on. My life had become a total nightmare. My wife at the time had had an affair. She was seeing somebody else. I myself had flipped a car 6 times, busted my neck, huge neck brace, staples in my forehead. I was a mess. I had a felony DUI hanging over my head. I was a criminal, a literal criminal. And I had to walk. I had to move my body in order to keep my sanity. That is what started to change me. I ate less. I did still smoke cigarettes early on in recovery because, again, I was an addict. And I often tell addicts, quit one small thing at a time. So if you're going to quit drinking, don't quit cigarettes, drinking, every other thing that you've got going on that you think is a problem, and start eating right. One thing at a time. Look, just remove the chemical to start, the thing that is causing you the most problems. Let's just take that away. You're going to have raw emotion. You're going to feel that need for it because now you're feeling. Now you're like, oh, this is me. This is how I really feel. This is what emotion is. That's what happens. You start to feel real emotion again, and you don't know what to do with it. And that's why you have to let it out. You can't keep all that stuff contained. You can't isolate anymore. If you try to quit a chemical by yourself and then you isolate yourself, you're going to go nuts. You're going to literally lose your mind, and then you're going to end up back in the same cycle. You won't be able to break it alone. So it went from just, I quit drinking today, like I didn't have a drink, to, I did a double workout that day. I crushed it twice today, and I felt fantastic. I made new friends, different kinds of friends, people who cared about their bodies, people who cared about taking care of themselves and their families and being leaders. Because you can't be in a gym pressing heavy weight twice a day or every single day and be living a life that is debaucherous and filled with chemicals. It doesn't work that way. You've got to be more pure. But when you do this and you get sober, I am telling you, your life is going to change and you will be able to become a leader. And how do you become a leader? It just happens when you start building discipline. You do not need motivation. Forget motivation. Just drop it altogether. Don't wait until you're motivated to do something. That is a freaking lie. You are never, ever, ever going to be motivated to a point where you're going to be changing your life dramatically. No, it is built on discipline and structure. Structure you follow daily builds discipline that stays for life. It sticks. But you have to invest. Discipline is going to be the thing that gets you up every single day, whether you feel good or you feel bad. Motivation is built on emotion and it will fail you. Get up, get disciplined, start working out. That's the first thing, no matter how much it hurts. If you quit your vice and you want to get really straight, tell your story, get it out there, talk to people. If you can go to AA, if you can get into recovery, if you can do that, do it. It's scary. It's frightening. We don't like change. I don't like change. I didn't want change because it means you got to stop doing the thing that you have been doing. It's the pain that you're avoiding that you need to break through and endure through that tribulation in order to build this new character that is coming. And that new character is there. It's underneath the surface. It's just waiting for you to fight through and build that new character. Because the endurance that you build when you fight that pattern, when you break that cycle and you continuously break it, you're building this endurance that is building this character inside of you that is unbreakable. It's undeniable character. And that character is going to produce this brand new, wonderful hope inside of you. And that shame that you felt over what happened back in your past, in your history, that is over. That shame is gone. And when that shame is gone, you can take out that new book and you can start writing brand new pages about who you are, a new identity, a new creation. That is what you can become. But only if you're willing to fight, if you're willing to go through some pain. And I can tell you the pain that you will go through in this fight, when you break the cycle, when you get through this tribulation, is far less pain than it will be if you continue on the path that you're on, which is a dead-end path to nowhere. And it will wind up in the two places that I said, death or prison or broken marriage, kids that don't respect you. All of that's going to happen, which is far worse to deal with later on than handling your business right now and start building the discipline and the structure that you need to have success. You admit that you have a problem. You can't deal with it on your own. You start to get the help that you need. And when you reach out, no shame. There's no shame in reaching out. Even if you feel the shame to admit that you have something wrong with you, that you have a broken part of you, that you need healing, nobody out there is going to fault you for that, even though you think you may be judged. So many men have a struggle with this. Far more men have a struggle with this than women. It's men that say, I'm too afraid to reach out for help. They feel insignificant or weak because they're asking for help. But I can tell you this right now, I would not be in the position that I'm in, having the success that I have had as a man, as a husband, as a father, as a leader, if I had not fallen down, hit the bottom, and asked for help. Would not be here right now. Wouldn't have this podcast studio, wouldn't be doing the work that I'm doing with other men out there, wouldn't have written a book that became a bestseller in Christian leadership, personal issues, men's issues, in personal success, like 5 different categories. Only because I was able to recognize what I was going through and hit a bottom. Like, I can see it all now so clearly. Back then, I could have never seen it. I needed to be separated from this other person that I was and realize this guy over here didn't even know who he was. Like, he had no idea what he was. I was a follower. I was weak. I was undeserving of love. I didn't have any self-respect. Therefore, I had no respect for other people. But this washing clean, this hitting the bottom, cleaned the slate of all of that. That was gone. And I had to figure out, okay, who am I? Am I going to be a man who changes at this point? Or am I going to go back to this old behavior? This cycle that got me nothing. Nothing. It brought me nothing. Only sadness, only death, no light at the end of the tunnel. Or am I going to go this other route, which I know is going to be hard and it's going to take time and life's never going to be perfect. Like, this is not going to be easy, but I'm going to remain positive and I'm going to try and I'm going to push through and not feel the emotional guy that I was, and everything affected me so deeply and so profoundly that I couldn't perform. No, I'm going to go ahead and take the hits and I'm going to fight through the tribulation. And I'm going to endure, and I'm going to see where that leads. And I'm telling you, it leads to new character. It leads to a brand new human being that you don't even know yet, but it's there. And those pages are just waiting for you to write those pages of your future. So do not give up. If you can, check out my book, The Comeback Blueprint. Seriously, hit me up in those comments. I want to hear what you got going on. Tell me where you're at right now. Are you struggling with addiction? Are you having a tough time? Are you in a dark place right now? Or have you already fought through it? Are you doing what I'm talking about? Are you winning right now? Remember, tribulation we rejoice in. Why? Because tribulation and fighting through that produces endurance, and that endurance produces character, and that character produces hope, and that hope never puts us to shame. Never.